Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lindsay and today I'm going to be showing you some options on how to create a no makeup look, but maybe a little extra. This is not going to be a super quick look. This is going to be more for those nights or days that you really want to look kind of glam, but you also want people to question whether you are wearing makeup. So let's get started. I already did my brows off camera just because it's kind of boring. And I prepped my eyes using the Born This Way concealer in Snow. So the next thing we need to do, usually I like to start with eyes always because it's just the way I like to do it. It just works for me. But if you like it a different way, that's totally fine too. So the next step is to add some dimension back to the eyes because right now they look pretty flat. So we don't want them to look completely flat because that's also kind of an indication that we're wearing makeup. So I'm going to use the Violet Voss Pro. This one's the Holy Grail, or my Holy Grail palette. And you're going to want to pick a shade that kind of matches your undertone so that it doesn't look like eyeshadow. So I have a very cool undertone, which means my veins are very blue. But if you have a warmer undertone, you can probably get away with warmer colors. I'm going to get started, I think, with the Thanks a Latte shade right here. And just blend that, starting at the outer corner. And as you run out of product, come into the inner corner. So we're just kind of adding that shadow back. This is the Luxie Large Shader 209. I got this in a BoxyCharm and I really like it. I'm going to try to do this quickly so that I'm not taking up too much time. And when you're just doing this on your own, you can do it pretty quick. I start off with a nice light shade that almost matches your skin tone. Hey, what's up? Why are y'all fighting? I don't know why they're fighting. Anyway, you start with a nice light shade that almost matches your skin tone. That way, when you build, it'll be a nice gradation. And I'm going to use the Jaclyn Hill JH30 brush. This is my all-time favorite blending brush ever. It's really great because it's super fluffy and you can blend really well, but it doesn't muddle the colors if you're blending them together. So I really like that one, but this is also a really good brush. Next I'm going to go in with the shade Bestie, I think. Yeah, because that one looks a little cooler than this one, the transition shade. So I'm going to go in with Bestie in the same pattern and tap off the excess and then go in the same way. So as you can see, it's not really going to look like an eyeshadow look. We're not going for, any kind of crazy look because we want it to look like no makeup. We're just trying to get the crease back in the eye. And then I like to take this blending brush in between and just kind of make sure there's no harsh edges or harsh lines. The last thing is I'm going to take, I think I'm going to go in with Brownie Points and very lightly go over that again. So I'm using 3 shades total. And that might even be too much, but it looks like less on camera. In person it looks like I put almost a little too much, but I can always shear it out a little bit with my blending brush. And we're almost done with the eyeshadow. Just gonna blend this really good because we want it to almost disappear or blend right into our skin. If you see, that kind of looks like just a nice crease. Looks like maybe a crease I was born with. Next is, we're going to do kind of a faux liner with the JH42. It's a very thin, flat packer brush, and I'm going to take Brownie Points, that dark shade, and we're going to go right on the upper lash line, because we don't want to use actual eyeliner, since that's going to definitely give it away. And you want to stay more on the middle to outer portions. That's where you can get away with kind of that faux liner. And this is just so that we can make the lashes look thicker without a liner. Okay, so if you can see, this is pretty much the eye look. On camera it doesn't look like a whole lot, but that's kind of what we're going for. But if you were to compare before and after, you would definitely see a difference. So for now we're going to move on from the eyes, because we'll come back to mascara later, and we're going to move on to the skin. There's so many ways that you can do a no makeup makeup look. So it's really going to depend on your skin, your preference as far as coverage, and also the type of products you like to use. I'm going to tell you a couple different options, and I'm going to do 2 of those so you can see. The first option is to use a cream foundation like the Hourglass Vanish Sticks. So that's an option. This one you'll want to shear it out to kind of not have the appearance of wearing makeup. The other option is to use a tinted moisturizer like the Milk Makeup one, which I really like this one, and it has a surprising amount of coverage. The only thing I don't like is that it's on a roller, so for people with you know, acne prone skin, that could be a problem. But it's also really great for, like, if you're going to the beach and you don't have time for any makeup, you can just bring this in your bag, as long as it's not going to be, you know, completely in like a really hot climate. But if you're just going to the beach, you can probably put this in your bag and just rub it in with your hands, honestly. The third option would be to mix a regular foundation with either a moisturizer or something like this, like a glow cream. This is the MAC Strobe Cream. So if you were to do that, you would just, usually I like to do a 1-to-1 ratio, so 1 pump of foundation to 1 part or 1 pump of the moisturizer or any kind of like glowing cream. So that's another option. And the last option is to just spot conceal. So I would use something like the Born This Way, or you could use the Too Faced, or the Tarte Shape Tape, and you would just use like a really small brush like this and just spot conceal. Like if you have really clear skin, you might be able to get away with just doing the spot concealing. But for me, I like a little more coverage, but I still want it to look like this is just my skin on days where, you know, I want to do the no makeup look. So yeah, that's what we're going for. On this side of my face, I'm gonna do the Hourglass so you can see what the cream looked like, and then on this side, I'm gonna do the Milk makeup. So I'll show you that. This one, just you push the button and it comes out. And I've already been rolling it, so I kind of just gave up on trying to not roll it on my face. And by the way, I've already primed with the Touch in Sol No Poreblem primer. And then I used a little bit of the Peach Perfect primer as well, the cool mattifying one. So that's that side. And then on this side, I'm a little pale right now, so I'm gonna use the porcelain, but I also have linen, and sometimes I have to mix them, but I'm pretty pale right now, so I'll use this one. And on this side, we're not gonna use a whole lot because we don't want it to look super makeup-y. I put a little right there. And then as far as blending it out, there's many ways you can do it depending on how you like to do your makeup. I really like using a beauty blender, but you can also use, you know, like a typical foundation brush. This is the 47 Pro foundation brush from Sephora, or you can use something like this. But I'm going to use just a standard beauty blender, and I have two clean ones, so I'll use one on each side. And yeah, I'm just going to blend this out, and then I'll be right back so I can show you what they look like, what it looks like on each side. Okay, so that's the foundation on both sides. This is the Hourglass, this is the Milk Makeup. And I'll show you up close so you can see. So you can see my skin is still kind of peeking through. This side maybe a little more coverage, but actually this side has quite a bit. I've got a dry patch right here, so just ignore that. It's probably gonna go away. I just randomly get them sometimes. So it looks really light right now, but as you can see, my neck is really pale, so I want to make sure it matches that, and then I can always deepen it with contour. And I was actually gonna say, it may be better to contour first with a cream contour under your foundation, but I accidentally forgot to do that. So I'm just going to do it now, and I'll just make sure to blend it really well. I'm using the Fenty Beauty Matchstick in Amber. I really like this one because it's a very cool tone. So it's good for fair skin, but if you have a warm undertone in fair skin, this may be too gray on you, but I think it's really nice for cool skin. For contouring, I like to do right here because it lifts the nose. I mean, even just like doing that without blending it, you can see how like it lifts your nose because we're making this look like a shadow and we're making this look higher. So that's kind of the goal with contouring, is just to set back parts of the face that we want to set back and pull forward the parts we want to highlight. With the contour, I like to blend with a kabuki brush. This one's just the Sephora buffing brush. It's really old. I've had it like since high school. But I'm just going to blend this in gentle circular motions, because you don't want to just like go ham on your face. You want to blend it nice and easy. And you may have to contour in a different pattern depending on your face shape. Like if you have a smaller forehead, you can probably skip this part, but I have a very wide forehead and large, so I like to contour there, but you don't have to. And also, if you don't have a cream contour, that's okay too. You don't necessarily have to do this step. I'm just, you know, kind of extra. I like to, even when I'm doing no makeup, I like to go all out, you know. And this part is just to kind of help with the chin area. It's not, I don't know if I have like a double chin. I just have, I don't know, kind of the starting of one, you know. But make sure you blend it down your neck too. And for the nose, I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. I got this one through a Smashbox palette a long time ago, but if you have just a small brush, just so you're not blending it everywhere, I'm just going to blend that in. Just needing a tiny bit more. Okay, and then I like to take my Beauty Blender and go over it to soften those lines. And it's just got a little bit leftover, a little bit of leftover product from the foundation. Okay, so that looks good. We're nice and contoured. And next we're going to conceal. So usually sometimes I'll do like, you know, under the eye, down the nose, forehead, chin. But when I do the no makeup I really just do like the bare minimum, because we're trying to keep it fairly minimal. And even though there are a lot of steps, you're really not using a whole lot of product. Like even that's probably too much. So I'm gonna get a clean blender, and because I don't need a whole lot right there right now, because we want our skin to show through a little bit. And now we're going to set the face with the Fit Me loose powder. This one's in Fair Light. I really like this powder. It's from the drugstore. And then I'm going to use the Morphe Jaclyn Hill JH07. I like this one for setting, especially under the eyes. So I just tap off the excess, and we're just going to go right under the eyes. Lightly, very lightly. And then for the rest of the face, I'm just going to use the same brush. Make sure that you don't have any creasing in your forehead before you set. Otherwise you'll set those creases in place. And I'm just going to lightly set here. And I'm going to do a little extra on my chin because it seems like mine breaks apart right in that middle area. And then get my nose. So I've kind of dusted it lightly all over with this brush, and then I'm going to take a nice big fluffy brush, which you can use either something like this, or this one's from Real Techniques. It's just a little brush my sister got me, and I really like this one. So I'm just going to lightly dust all of that off. And now, before we go on to the next step, make sure your face is completely dry. Make sure the foundation and everything has already kind of settled into your skin. And then we'll go on to the next steps. Okay, next we're gonna set all the products that we just placed. Basically we're gonna set the contour with the Cover FX palette, and we're gonna use the contour shade. I like this one too because it's also very cool. And the reason I like to set powder on top of cream is just so that it lasts longer. It's not really so to deepen it or make it like too harsh. I just think it helps set it. I mean, naturally it does deepen it a little bit, but we're just going right over where we did the cream contour. And I like to just lightly wiggle it. And then as I run out of product, I blend it down my forehead. So we'll do the other side. And then for the nose, you can either use your little brush, or if you don't have one of those, you can also pinch your regular brush and dip in that way. But I'm just going to use this one since I've already been using it. And just lightly set that. But I'm only going to do like one little swoop because I don't want it to get too intense. And then I'll take this brush and just dust that off. And then we'll go over the jawline as well. Very lightly. And then I like to take just a tiny bit and dust it down my neck. Okay. And then next is just throwing on a little blush. I'm going to use this Moda brush. And I'm going to use the blush that's in this palette because it's nice and matte. It is a little pink, but I think it gives a little bit of life back to the skin. So I'm going to make sure most of it's off because I want to build it up. And we're going to start at the apples and blend it into the contour. So right here, and then start blending it backwards. And it looks nice and soft. This palette's really good for the no makeup days because just put a tiny little on my nose, and then take your big fluffy brush and kind of make it all family. It also has it has highlighters, but they're a little too intense. These three you can use for highlighters, but they're a little too intense for a no makeup look. So I'm gonna use this finishing powder as like a highlighter because it has a tiny bit of shimmer, but it's enough to where I don't think it's going to be noticeable. So I'm going to use the same brush I used earlier and pick some of that up, and then just very lightly dust that here. Usually I'm all about like the blinding highlights, but when doing this look, you want to keep it kind of minimal. Okay, so that's pretty much it on that. Before we move on to lashes and lips, I'm just going to set everything that we've done so far, or that I've done so far. And I like using the Morphe setting spray. This is probably like the best setting spray I've tried ever because it's the mist is so fine, and I've noticed like it works just as good as like the Urban Decay as far as lasting power, but the mist is a lot finer, so it doesn't disturb your makeup. So I'm going to spray this on. I'm almost out, so when I spray it, like hardly any comes out, but it's still consistent as far as the amount that comes out. And I always after you do setting spray, I always like to take a beauty blender and very lightly dab over your whole face, just so that you can melt everything together, which I think it really helps. So next we'll move on to lashes. For lashes, I'm going to use the MAC Hot and Naughty 2 Black Lash. And I really like this one because it has two different ways you can use it. You can either use this section that gives you a lot of volume, or if you twist the top, it takes off a lot more product, that's the way I'm going to use it today, and that's the way I've been using it just in general, because it's really buildable. And if you use the little section or the more filtered one, you get a lot more volume over time. So if you use the big one, sometimes it can get clumpy. I'm going to throw on some mascara real quick, and then we'll move on to lips. Okay, I've got the mascara on. As you can see, it doesn't look super clumpy. It looks like from far away, especially, it looks like my lashes are just kind of naturally working together as a unit and not like just all over the place. So I really like that for this. And next, the last thing we'll move on to is lips. I've already lightly lined, and if you're going to overline, I definitely recommend going underneath. You can get away with overlining a little bit more on the bottom than you can the top. After I lined with the MAC just standard lip pencil in Whirl, just a nude pencil, I took my finger and blended it out a little bit because I don't want it to look like a harsh line. And for lips, there's a couple different ways we can do lips. We can either do a lipstick that kind of mimics our natural lip color, which mine has a little bit of a taupey color. I found this taupe lipstick from Target. It's the Maybelline, I think. Wait, let me make sure. I think it's Maybelline. I'll double check. I'll put it in the comments, but this one's the Taupe Seduction. You can also use a like a tinted lip balm. I can't remember where mine is, but or you can just use regular lip balm, like just clear lip balm. And with your lip liner, as long as you blend it in, it'll look fine. I'm gonna use the Taupe lipstick, but I'm gonna be very light with it. Just gonna dab. So, and then the last thing is, if you want to amp this up a little bit more, you can also put some lashes on. I really like these Kiss ones, the Comfort Fit Lash Pre-Curved Band, because they have a nice thin band and they're fairly natural looking. So that's an option if you want to amp it up for like a date night and you still want to look kind of like you're wearing hardly any makeup. This is a really good option. Yeah, so that's pretty much it on that. I'm gonna leave it at that, I think, because I feel like it turned out pretty well. And I'll put before and after pictures so you can see the difference. It's very subtle, but it really gives an impact. And usually when I do this kind of makeup, you're more likely to receive compliments about your skin, or people will tell you, you know, you look nice, you look pretty, versus focusing just on the makeup, which those compliments are fun too. Like, I love being complimented on my makeup, but some days it is nice for someone to say, you know, that you just look like you're glowing or your skin looks really healthy, because that's just something we like to hear as women. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know. But if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And, you know, just remember there's no rules with makeup. You can do whatever you want. Just play around with it. Do what feels good for you. And remember that you're beautiful. You can take on whatever today is throwing at you. Have a great one.